Okay, here's a little lesson in solving and graphing inequalities. And the questions are going to look something like this. And so notice how, if we zoom in, there are two variables. There's an x and a y in most of these. Let's take a look. So our first question says graph the inequality. And this says y is less than or equal to x minus 2. This looks like y equals mx plus b, meaning this is an inequality and it's in slope-intercept form. So by looking at the inequality, we know what the slope is. That's the number in front of the x, the coefficient. And we know what the y-intercept is. That is the plane number, or the number aside from the x. And looking at the inequality sign, we also know two things about the graph. One is that this is going to be a solid line, and it's going to be a solid line because of the or equal to part. We also know we're going to shade underneath the line because y is less than or equal to. If y were greater than, we would shade above the line, but y is less than, so we shade underneath. So it looks like this. We're going to start at a y-intercept of -2. We're going to use our slope. We're going to shade underneath, and it's going to be a dashed line. So let's see what that looks like. So I think something got messed up there. Let's start over a little bit with this question. On the next page, we're going to look at the graph of this and see what happens. So here we are. If the inequality sign is an or equal to, we have a solid line. If it's just greater than or less than, it will be a dashed line. So our line looks like this: y-intercept of -2, slope of 1, solid line shaded underneath the line, not above. This is your answer. This is the graph. Next. Number 2 says graph the inequality. So here it almost looks like y equals mx plus b, but we have this in the way. So we're going to get rid of that and see what happens. This says y minus 4 is less than x minus 6. So here is our question. To get rid of the minus 4, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. We're left with y is less than, and this is x minus 2. So the minus 6 plus 4 gives us minus 2. And all this stuff in blue, this is the information we get from this inequality. Our y-intercept will be -2. Our slope, the number in front, this is 1x. The slope will be 1. And this inequality sign, because it is just less than, not less than or equal to, we know it's a dashed line. And because y is less than, we know we're going to shade under. So here we are. Y is less than x minus 2. Y-intercept of -2, slope of 1, dashed line shaded underneath. Just by coincidence, that looks a whole lot like number 1. So next up, two questions put together, or we'll solve them at the same time. Take a look at this. X is greater than -2 and y is less than or equal to 4. So these are like those horizontal and vertical lines that we have been graphing, where instead of both y and x being in the equation, it's only x or only y. So see if you can remember which of these is horizontal or vertical. Which of these is horizontal or vertical? Let's take a look. So x, if it's x equals a number, that's a vertical line, which I know is confusing. This is the x-axis, but x is a number. See how every point on this line would have an x coordinate of -2? Okay, so it's a vertical line. Because x is greater than, we're going to shade to the right, meaning everything that is greater than -2, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If it were x is less than, we would shade to the left. It is not an or equal to, so it is a dashed line. So we have a horizontal line that is dashed, and we shade to the right. Over here, y is less than or equal to 4, so this is going to be a horizontal line. Y is less than, so we're going to shade under, and it is less than or equal to, so there will be a solid line at y equals 4 and shaded underneath, like so. Number 10 looks close, but here we have to do some solving first. So you might see if you can solve. Oh dear, we didn't solve that one. So that ends this presentation, and I will solve that in the next video. Thanks.